What's up YouTube? SnatchPato here, and I'm going to be doing some tactics here, maybe 2 or 3 here on chess tempo. In this position I'm white, obviously. I just made a move, knight takes c4, and we have to find the best move. I see immediately that if I can maybe play my knight here from e4 into f6 on this square, my queen can checkmate the king on h7, that comes with a check, and so that looks immediately like it's winning. Knight f6, queen takes f6, queen to h7 is checkmate. Knight f6 check and pawn takes, it's still checkmate, so we'll go ahead and play that. And that's a good start. So I gained, well, actually lost points because I took so long to do that one, but it's correct, so that's the important thing. We'll quickly go over this one to see why and how I saw it, because that's arguably more important than the fact that I saw it. So how did I see that? Well, I saw that my queen was aimed at h7 immediately, even though it was through my knight. And I noticed this knight is also hitting h7. So I figured if I can move this knight with a tempo, I should be able to checkmate the king. And the best tempo of all is always a check. So knight f6 check pointed out to me like a sore thumb. Stuck out to me like a sore thumb is the correct turn of phrase. So let's move on to the next problem. Alright, I'm assuming pawn takes knight is going to happen. And I have to, okay, so I was wrong in that assumption. Initially I look at checks, so I'm immediately looking at knight takes f7 check. Knight f7 check, the king has to go to g8, because my queen's covering here. So knight f7 check, king g8, queen h8 check, king f7, rook g7 is mate, I believe. So knight f7, let's just check that that's correct, right? Knight f7 check, the only move, the king can't come down here because of my rook. So knight f7 check, for my queen, there's nothing to block, so the king has to go to g8. Queen h8 check is supported by the knight, and then the king is forced to take my knight, and then I have rook takes g7. No, I don't, because his rook is here, so that's why we double check. So rook takes g7 at the end of that line, but okay, queen takes g7 will also be mate, so that still works. Knight f7, king g8, queen h8, king f7, queen, not rook, but queen to g7. My queen covers all of these 3 important squares and supported by the rook. So that is the line here. And that's why we double checked, guys, because if my initial calculations were this line, and then I thought this was working in my original calculations before I double checked, but of course this fails. The rook takes g7, which was probably the whole point of black's operation, taking on g2 plus some discovered stuff. So that's an important point, is when you're doing these tactics, make sure you double check your work, so to speak. Just like if you were doing a math problem, double check your work to make sure you're not missing something. Alright, we'll do one more. So in this position, I'm not sure what black is going to do. So the queen's threatening checkmate on c2. It's always important to see what your opponent's threatening before you actually make a move. Okay, is there any checks? Queen takes g7 check, queen takes g7 check. I don't see anything there for white. I could always play what? I'm trying to, is there a reason to defend? Okay, I can see how I can win 2 minor pieces for rook and defend against checkmate. Rook takes e8, check. If the king comes down to f7, I just take this rook, right, and I'm up a whole piece. So rook takes e8 check, rook takes e8 check, and then my queen can take on a4, covering c2, but he's not even attacking c2. If he plays rook e1 check, then right, hitting my king, I can bring this rook down to d1. This queen can't check me from that position. The rook takes, king takes, and if he goes queen d6 check, queen d6 check at the end of that line, my king can just tuck back on c1, and it should be fine for me. And I'm getting 2 minor pieces for a rook, so this should equalize here for white. So rook takes bishop, queen takes knight, because this is with check, by the way. So rook takes e8, so rook e8, queen a4, rook e1, rook d1, rook takes d1, king takes d1, queen d6, king c1 looks safe. Looks safe for white. I'm wondering if there's anything better. I'll have a quick look. Taking on a4 doesn't work straight away because the bishop's protecting the knight. That's what, by the way, that's what helped me lead, what led me to this tactic, which I suspect is correct. I saw the knight and I thought that's unprotected, and if I take it, I'll defend c2. But then I saw, the bishop's defending it. Can I remove the bishop? Yes, I can, and with tempo. So unless there's something else I'm not seeing, I believe I'm going to go in for this. And queen takes a4. Okay, so the computer's telling me queen takes a4 was a good move, but not the computer's first choice. So let's reevaluate here. Is there another good move here for white? Not taking the knight. Not taking the knight. Aha! I have rook to d7. Okay, rook d7 hitting the queen, more importantly threatening mate on g7. If rook d7 and rook e7, I take the queen. And if rook d7 and he checks me on e1, I've got king to d2, which looks scary, but it's actually fine because my king is hitting his rook. And if he plays queen a5 check, protecting his rook through an x-ray through my king, I can play b4 because my queen's supporting that. And I'm still threatening checkmate and his rook. So it doesn't seem like there's a defense to this move. And now he's just sacrificing his rook, and I believe I just take. I could be wrong, because taking does allow queen takes c2 check, but I think after my king runs over to the king side, I should be fine. Take that free rook. So that one took a little bit longer, because we didn't calculate it first. And that's the good thing about Chess Tempo, guys. If you haven't ever played on Chess Tempo, I highly recommend it. As you saw in this position here, I played queen takes a4, which is, let me see, is it the second best move? Rook d7 is the best move. This rook to d7 is the absolute best move. The second best move, yes, with a 3.5 pawn advantage, and the only other winning move is queen takes a4. And so a lot of tactics trainers will punish you for playing the second best move and not finding the best. But Chess Tempo is good as in that it lets you have a second chance. So yeah, that's a cool thing about Chess Tempo, and I highly recommend it if you guys haven't checked it out yet. So that's all for this video. Let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of video. If you got something out of it, great, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you always stay classy. Peace.